Okay, Parashat Korach. So, Parshat Korach is, I find to be a little bit of a confusing parasha because you have different elements that are present in the entire, how would you call that, tension, tensions, maybe it's a mild word, in that war between Korach, Moshe Rabbeinu, we say Korach first because Korach is the one making the war, even though Moshe is the more important one, but the whole NACHLAOT started from Korach, so the whole NACHLAOT between Korach and Moshe is not so apparently clear from the Psukim. What was exactly the cause of the problem? What were the arguments? Jealousy. Okay, you say jealousy, and I'll read you psukim which have no mention of jealousy at all. Okay, and actually some arguments seem to be quite, I would say, I don't know, advanced arguments for the times. It's kind of a it's a forward thinking of trying to limit the what?
I think it's more gaiva than jealousy.
More gaiva than jealousy. I'm not disagreeing with you, but I want to go through.
What is gaiva?
Gaiva is arrogance, feeling of wanting to, you know, to.
I think of it. I don't think ego.
Ego, yeah.
See, but you say who is the most qualified to lead the Jewish people?
Ego has some positive parts to it. Also, there's geus and gaiva. Ego is both geu to feel. One has to feel a certain.
Ego can be negative too.
Right, exactly. Yeah, absolutely. You can be negative too. So you're right. It's the negative part of ego. What are you saying, Hanoch?
That who is most qualified to lead the Jewish people?
Okay, so see, Hanoch is making a point. Maybe the issue is who is qualified. So it's not necessarily an issue of ego. Then Korach thinks is a candidate. Mr. Trump is a candidate. Mr. Trump is a candidate, and Mr. Biden is a candidate.
He hasn't got an ego, has he?
What?
And he doesn't have an ego.
I'm not saying that he doesn't, but then again, who would? I mean, certainly in our mind, most people who would run for politics must have some kind of ego, right? So it's taken for granted that all the candidates have ego. The question is who is best fit for the job. So maybe that's what it was all about. Maybe it's a question of who is the correct leader. Is it Moshe or is it Korach? And each one come with their own arguments and ways to convince the people. So that's what it's all about. But I'm not saying that you're wrong, but I think it is ego. But I'm saying that you have to look through the psukim and see where you have different arguments, and then you have the ego that comes in, and that's what I want to discuss. Yes.
No, I was going to say, there's the two sides of ego. Korach is a negative one, and Moshe is a positive one. He says, "Who am I to lead the people?"
Yes, I mean his ego is extremely mild. Moshe Rabbeinu, he has no ego really. He only has the desire to be a good servant to Hashem and to serve Klal Yisrael. He's not there for himself. That's clear. So unlike most politicians, yes.
I was thinking maybe not so much on the part of Korah, but on the part of the rest. That
Again, it's from the beginning.
Not so much on the part of Korah, but on the part of the rest of the people, that it was a backlash from the spies of being stuck in the desert, going to die there. And maybe that's why they wanted a new leader. They're trying to find a way out of that depressing.
Okay, there's also some truth in what you're saying, because we find that in the argument of Datan v'Aviram, and Datan v'Aviram, when Datan v'Aviram were called, so what did they answer back to Moshe? So they said to him, what good did you do to us? You took us out from a wonderful country full of milk and honey. I don't know how they get that. How did they get that from Egypt being a country of milk and honey for the Jews? I don't know, but that's we always look backwards with nostalgia. Oh, Italy, the most beautiful place. United States. That's right, and we forget that how bad things were over there. So suddenly Mitzrayim became Zavat Chalab Udvash, and then just 1 second. And you didn't bring us anywhere, right? Where'd you bring us? To the desert. So here we're in the desert another 40 years. So what did you do for us? So there is this argument also. But it's certainly they are complaining to Moshe. So where are we now? We are again in the desert. All because of you, Moshe. Because you somehow got into a fight with the Meraglim and whatnot. So there is some truth in it.
We're also missing the point about the wife.
About what?
His wife.
Whose wife?
Korach, who instigated it. He came home from hearing Moshe talk about the blue thread, and he was very positive about it. And then she expounded about, well, what if this occurred, blah, blah, and she said his mind's shaking.
I don't agree with you completely on that one. Okay. No, I'll tell you what, I think that you are right to say that she was involved, but I think a wife can only influence a person in his own beliefs. He cannot make, she would not, I don't think she could have changed him. Had he been convinced truly by Moshe, then he might have disagreed with her, and he might have disagreed, but he would not have gone with his wife against Moshe. I think that a wife is very good at bringing the best out of her husband, but not to change the husband to be something else than what he really is. That's my feeling, and I think it's true the other way around also. I think that Korach heard from his wife what he wanted to hear, and you have On ben Pelet on the other hand, who heard from his wife what he also wanted to hear. You notice so with On ben Pelet, such a cute story there. So On ben Pelet is all there for fighting with Moshe with Korach. And then Korach comes to call On ben Pelet. So his wife, what does he do? He tells him, "Why don't you stay in the tent?" And she comes out and she takes off a sheitel. And then Korach wouldn't enter the tent, wouldn't enter the premise of On ben Pelet if his wife was there without a sheitel, and he leaves, right? So she saved him, but he wanted to be saved. He didn't want to be with Korach deep down. So I think a wife brings the best out of her husband. And Chava didn't, because Adam Rishon was very underdeveloped man at that point. He was only beginning humanity, and I know it's not like an apicurus to say that because Adam was supposed to be the finest and the best. Well, he was potentially, but he was still very primitive in his outlook of life. That's my take. It was a development in Adam Rishon, but let's leave that behind. I know this is not that crucial to our discussion, but that's my answer to you. You might disagree with me on that. I don't know, but that's how I would take it. Yes.
The thing about Korach, he was a leader for a relatively small number of people. It was only 3,000. The bigger problem, I think, was the spies representing a large percentage of the Jewish people.
I disagree with you. I see where I'm not saying that you're wrong. At some point, Korach started with very few people, but at the very end, before he got his punishment, he was extremely successful, and he convinced everyone. I'll show you that from the Psukim. You had something to say, Jackie, before we read it.
The fact that he was misled by Nebuah.
Again, he was misled because he wanted to be misled.
Okay.
You see what you want to see.
Yeah.
If he was really open to reality, then it would have.
What was the need to get this Nebuah?
Well, I think ego is probably the good answer.
Excuse me?
Ego is probably the good answer. You know the Nebuah that Jacques is talking about.
Nebuah doesn't come from ego.
It wasn't, okay, that's true, but okay, I don't know is that a real Nebuah, but let me share with what we're discussing here. It says that one of the reasons why Korach was misled was because he had a vision that his descendants will be great people, such as Shmuel Hanavi was his descendant. So he saw that Shmuel will be his descendants. So he said, "Oh, so it must be that I am right, and why shouldn't I take the rulership and all?" See, but maybe the vision could have been interpreted differently. Oh my gosh, if Shmuel is going to be my great-grandson, then shouldn't I be closer to Moshe Rabbeinu, who gave the Torah, and that's how Shmuel was such a great Navi? No, he took it, that means it's me. I have to be the great leader. I mean, that's an interpretation. So even if you write it, I don't know if it's a nevuah or a vision, however you call that, it's not, it's not a clear, but he certainly saw you more than you and I, that's for sure. He was a great man, but he saw what he wanted to see, so that was a proof that he has to go and fight more, because Shmuel is going to be my grandson. But basically that it fit his outlook. But let's try to go back and look at the psukim before we, it's a nice discussion and all, but I want to try to be more connected to the psukim, and then we will see really what the Torah says. So at the beginning, first of all, the Parsha starts with a very interesting word. Vayikach Korach. And Korach took. Who did he take? What did he take? What is this taking all about? Vayikach Korach ben Yitzhar ben Kiad ben Levi, v'Natan v'Aviran ben Eliyav, v'On ben Per ben Reuven. So he took, it's a singular, and they somehow went along and they also took. Whatever they took, I don't know. I'm just translating the words. It doesn't say what they took. Then Vayakumu lifnei Moshe, and they stood in front of Moshe. Standing means staying upright, and they started their argument. So first of all, we have to understand what did they take. It's a very strange word. So Rashi says, well, he took means that he separated himself. לקח את עצמו לצד אחד, להיות נחלק מתוך העדה. So he took himself to be separate from everyone else. It's a funny translation of taking. Wouldn't that make more sense to you or to me to say, well, Korach divided himself? I mean, Hashem's got certainly a ability to choose a very wide range of words. Separate would be a good word, right? I mean, if we can look at Google to see synonymous of words, so could Hashem certainly would have found the right word to say separate. Why say vayikach? Took. Funny word to use, no? I mean, so I have no idea how. I mean, we have to understand how to take is somehow synonymous with separation. Certainly not as simple, if you look at Google and you take taking, it wouldn't say synonymous separating, right? There's it's a little connection between the two. But somehow, that's the context here. He took himself out of the crowd.
Or he took the bona fide of the crowd.
What do you mean by the bona fide? I mean, I know what bona fide is, but the next contents I'm not sure what you mean.
Bona fide is what was their belief about Moshe.
Oh, so he took it. He was able to to take away their understanding of Moshe. Vayikach Korach. So he basically he broke down their belief system, their belief in Moshe. Interesting point. Maybe, I don't know. I thought something else, but I see visibility in the way you look at it. Yes.
The word "take" sometimes is used with the meaning "appoint." To appoint. Take Aharon and his children.
Right. When
So
Russia,
he appointed himself. It's like he took himself in the sense that he elevated himself.
Yeah. Very good. That's very good. That's really more the way I was thinking. That it's going on taking himself instead and not so. Okay, we'll get back to the point. Okay, I want to go to continue. Then we'll go back to it to try to define it better. But I think it's very nice. So they gathered everyone. So Vayomer Alem, listen to the argument. Rav lachem, hey Moshe and Aaron, enough is enough. Everyone is holy. And God is just there for everyone. God is within Israel. And why are you raising yourselves above everyone else? So here it comes with a very philosophical point of who needs all this hierarchy, right? Why are you on the top? Isn't God there for all of us? And Rashi says, well, we were all in Har Sinai. We all heard Anochi Hashem Elokecha, right? You know, Anochi Hashem Elokecha and Lo Yeh. These are the only two sentences we heard directly from God. All the rest we heard from Moshe, right? You're familiar with that. It says Torah Tziva Lanu Moshe. So Torah is 611, the gematria of Torah, right? Tav Vav Resh Hey, 611. So Moshe told us 611 mitzvot. What about the other two? That's not from Moshe, directly from God. So we were all there listening to God telling us Anochi and Lo Yelecha Elohim Acherim. So why exactly are you so chashiv, so important, so much on top? You know, we're all equal. So these are the arguments that Korach is using. And then Moshe Rabbeinu is responding. I mean, I'm skipping through all the. I mean, it's really the truth is one has to learn the Parsha carefully, and I'm not skipping because I'm not important. Every word pasuk is important, but just we're gonna, you know, it took me today a couple of hours just to prepare shira, looking through all the psukim and all, and it's fascinating, and I suggest to all of you to do that and go through every pasuk and understand it and all. But I'm trying here to bring some points. That's all. It's not a summary because you cannot summarize the Torah, which is so broad, but just make a few points. That's all. So he tells them about you know, there'll be a test and you'll have to make an offering of the Ktoret, and then he comes along and he says, Vayomer Moshe al Korach Shimuna b'nei Levi. Now Moshe tells Korach and he says, listen to me, please, or listen to me now. Now could be translated as please or now, children of Levi. Now he talks to all of the Leviim, right? As Korach being representative of the Leviim. Ha'me'at mikem kivdil Elokei Yisrael etchem me'adat Yisrael. Is it little that Hashem has separated you from the rest of Israel? Lakriv etchem elav, because He brought you near. The Leviim are nearer than everyone else. So God did something very, very valuable to you. Is that little? Ha'me'at? לעבוד את עבודת משכן השם, to do the avodah of the Mishkan, ולעמוד לפני עדה לשרתם, and to serve the congregation. ויקרב אותך ואת כל אחיך בני לוי איתך, and God brought you closer with all the rest of the Leviim. Now comes the key. וביקשתם גם כהונה, and you are seeking the כהונה. What? Korach didn't speak about כהונה. Korach, it's chutzpah, but where does Moshe take that from? Korach never spoke about him being the Kohen. He says, why should there be kahuna? Why should you guys? I'm asking it for myself. But why you? But Aaron, but Moshe saw, no. That's not what's going on here. Here's what you were saying before. Here, what really Korach wants is really to be himself the Kohen. He wants to be on top. He doesn't believe in that the progressive thoughts of we don't need anyone on top. We can all be equal. Oh, that's good. You know, the same way as the communist leaders didn't believe in that neither. As long as they were on top, they were talking. You know, we are the masses and all, and we're just doing. But they cared about themselves. They got all the fortune, and each one had this beautiful house of a dacha and whatnot. The leaders were not for the nations, for the nation, were for themselves. There's a case here also. He wasn't for them, he was for himself. And Moshe Rabbeinu saw that. He read through that.
How?
How did he read through that? That's a very good question. How did he go through? I mean, I guess it's a very good question because it has to be seen in context, I mean, in terms of what the Torah tells us, but certainly takes the insight of Moshe Rabbeinu to, and the level, the nevuah of Moshe Rabbeinu to be able to be sure about it. I think a couple of hints. How did he saw that? How did he see that they were not they're not for real? I don't want to speak about it right now because I think there are hints. But right now, I wrote down about some of those hints. How Moshe Rabbeinu saw it, but I'm not going to speak about it now because I don't remember what are the words that he saw in Korach that showed his true colors. But I want to speak about. I mean, I think the words Vayikach Korach shows that, but there's more to it. Now, what I want to speak about is the whole thing. What happened over here? So Moshe is accusing Korach for being a fake. That really what he wants is all for himself. Now, it's interesting that the punishment of Korach and his people was unique. What was the punishment?
It was
swallowed by the earth. Now, what is it supposed to mean? Well, not what's supposed to mean, I mean, it means what it says. But why that punishment? I mean, I guess everyone in the end is going to be buried, right? That's what we hopefully...
This was a mass grave.
So it was a mass grave. So is it because they were not buried with... they didn't have an individual grave? Is that the point?
It's a magnification of...
But he didn't die.
A burial.
He didn't die there, okay. But, so what's the point? So he did die or didn't die, some did die, he didn't die. I mean, the children didn't die, he did die. So the Bnei Korach didn't die.
Alive.
But eventually we never came out of there.
We don't know.
Okay, let's. But whatever it is, some of them certainly died over there. But what is the point of being in the ground? I think clearly the point is that he was no longer with everyone else. Because everyone else is on the ground, and even if people are buried, so you can see where they are buried, and it's part of humanity, people are alive, then they die and they have their places and all. And then if person is buried in the ground, so then there's no, you can't see anything, it's gone, completely gone. There's no
trace.
No trace, exactly, no trace, exactly the word. No trace of his existence. Which I think it has to be fit with the crime. Right? We believe that everything is midah keneged midah. So the fact that that's the punishment, it has to be fit to what he did was so wrong. So I want to discuss that a little bit. Why is it fitting? Yes?
The followers of Korah, were they part of the original Exodus generation, or was this a new generation?
Well, they was all part of the old, because there were no new at this time. This is really right after the Meraglim. So it didn't happen at the end of the 40 years, or the beginning of the 40 years. So all the people were all from the time of
So this was a feckless group. I mean, they followed the spies, they followed Korah.
Right, exactly. So the same people were basically guilty, right? And the ones who are mentioned certainly are all the old foes of Moshe, Dosan Vaviram, the whole, the enemies of Moshe Rabbeinu from the complainers and
Dosan, who went and ran, told the king.
Exactly, told Paro about Moshe Rabbeinu killing the Mitzri, right? Very beginning, Dosan Vaviram were anti. But it's interesting with Dosan Vaviram that as bad as they were, they had the merit to go out of Mitzrayim. Because remember, there was what?
The second split of the Red Sea.
Right, the Red Sea, very good. Jackie, it says that they came late, and somehow there's their own little split of the Red Sea, the Dosan Vaviram. So as bad as they were not that bad. Because don't forget that 4/5, 80% of the Jews, they didn't even make it out of Egypt. They all died in Egypt in the Yemei Choshech. So we couldn't just dismiss Dasan v'Aviram as just being Rishoyim. They were Rishoyim, I mean, but they were not Rishoyim, just the Rosh. They were Rishoyim, Choshev Rishoyim, and there was a part of them which was good.
They merited the second spring of the Red Sea because they defended the Jews. They didn't want to beat the Jews as Pharaoh ordered these two to beat the Jews, and they refused. That's why
I never heard that. I mean, what you're saying is oh, really? That's very interesting. It says that the new Sanhedrin, the judges that were nominated by Moshe to be part of the Sanhedrin, after the Bnei Israel complained about not having man, so Moshe was told to appoint a Sanhedrin, a court, a Supreme Court. So there it says who would be those judges. Those judges would be the people who were willing to get beaten up and not to hit Bnei Israel. I never heard that of Dasan v'Aviram. It's a chiddush, but very nice. I mean, so for sure they were good. They had some very good things about them. Yeah, But I'm saying whatever it is, they must have had some very good points, but they were very anti-Moshe Rabbeinu. There was something personal against Moshe Rabbeinu. They never liked him from the beginning. They always felt that he was causing trouble. They say it all the time, he's causing trouble. You go to Paro, he causes trouble. Whatever you do is trouble. Things can be nice without you, Moshe Rabbeinu. I don't know exactly how they imagined that life would be without Moshe, but they imagined it.
It's us.
It's us. Always complaining, right?
Against Bibi, against Haredi, against Chiloni. It's us.
It's us, yeah. I guess we have this within us that we are. I mean, this is really, I think, the Parsha to discuss this in these points of being completely willing to do crazy things for some crazy ideas, and this is what we're going through in our today. I want to read you some more. So Moshe Rabbeinu is very, very upset about the whole story, and Moshe says, I don't know what you guys have against me, I didn't do anything bad to you ever, so let's do a test, and you all take the Ktoret, and then whoever is going to be only one survivor, I'm telling you, that's the Kohen, but if you want to take the chance, fine. We're going to see. You want everybody to have the Ktoret, you want everybody to serve, so you have a chance. And I say only one person's going to make it. You say that I'm wrong and everybody should be a Kohen. Fine, let God decide. So of course Moshe Rabbeinu was right and they were wrong, and they all got killed. Okay. Now, here someone said before that he wasn't so successful, Korach. Who was saying that? You were saying that, I think, that Korach didn't have many people with him. So I want to read you some psukim where you see that he was good at getting people. So it says, Vayakel, Pasuk Yutet, Vayakel aleim Korach et kol ha'eda, el petach o el moed. So Korach gathered the entire congregation, kol ha'eda. Now what did he do? You know what he did? Divrei leitzanut. You know what leitzanut is?
Laziness.
No.
Making fun.
Making fun. They were having like gathering together and making cracking jokes and talking lashon hara, basically. There's Moshe Rabbeinu. I'm telling you, this old the leadership. They're a bunch of they're not real and they're terrible people, and killing all kinds of lashon hara about them with like that. You can imagine just the kind of atmosphere where they were created, and then everyone was, oh yeah, well, it's not fair. Who do you think these guys are? It's no good. And even today, you have some political gathering where what they do is just dismiss everything else. Everyone else than themselves. We are the ones who know the truth. Nobody else knows anything, and we are the light. And all. He was able to convince them. So Kol Ha'eda, right? So Rashi says, do I think I care about myself? Nah, it's not about me, it's about you, my friends. I care only about you. I only care about all of you guys. They take everything for themselves. Moshe is the melech. Aaron is the melech. Oh, it happens to be that Aaron is the brother of Moshe. Happens to be, right? We know it doesn't happen to be. That's that's a how do you call that? That's a nepotism. Exactly. It's all about that. That's all. Right. This is Archid Patatu Kulam. Then everybody were they were convinced, they were led. And here again, I think that people get convinced because they want to be convinced. Now, it's people who want to be good, they don't let bad people convince them. So there is something, I'm not saying that Klal Yisrael were bad, but there's something within them that wanted that. Okay, let's go against our leaders, it's okay, we had enough of the, people can be very, there's a side of us which likes the easy way out and easy solutions and to hear how things can. We like fantasy. We're all tempted by fantasy, and even though deep down we know it really makes sense. There should be no Kohanim. Come on, it really makes sense to you that Hashem
it says Kol Ha'eda.
Kol Ha'eda. Does it really make sense to you that Moshe Rabbeinu was told by Kadosh Baruch Hu all the mitzvot, and Hashem doesn't like him? Is he only there for himself? Does it really make sense for you? So you really think about it, rather come into terms that's probably not very intelligent argument. But there is within us that desire to, maybe, and maybe things are not to be taken so serious, and maybe we all have a chance, and maybe we can all be kings, maybe we can all be Kohanim. Well, why not? It sounds interesting. I mean, if you think of it, 70 years of communism worked on fantasy. I mean, if you tell anybody today the premises of communism, say, what? They believed in that stuff? It's ridiculous. How can you possibly lead a country where people have no incentive to work and no incentive to? This is ridiculous. How could? And today people are laughing. I remember when I was a kid.
Coming back.
What?
It's coming back.
Where?
In universities, young people.
Yeah, the world.
Yeah, but it's soulless. It's not real. People, people are not. They're not reasonable.
It was the way it was realized it was wrong, but if you take the founding of Israel, it was founded with kibbutz.
Yeah, they also believe in it.
What?
They
made a great job.
Yeah, but they made a great job. Yeah, it's true. But the reason they made a great job is not because they were right about the philosophy about communism. It's because they were very what?
They had a monopoly of power.
Yeah, I mean, it's a complex sugya about how the founding fathers of Israel were so successful. I attribute that to HaKadosh Baruch Hu helping them so greatly. I mean, such a Siyata D'Shmaya is incredible. But even though they were many of them were crazy and not such a great people. But, anyways,
if Siyata D'Shmaya, which I agree, the same applies to Korach.
To Korach?
If you take the first pasuk, you say, Vaikach. Vaikach is when you take a woman and you marry her. It's written Vaikach.
Right.
So he believed in this. He did believe in it. God, Menorah Alila, it was all a set up in order to show that Moshe is real Moshe, because otherwise he wasn't wrong. I don't think he was in bad faith.
Yeah,
God instilled all the history as you did with the Meraglim.
Okay, I don't agree so much with you on that, to be honest. I think that things are real. I don't think it was a whole setup.
I sent you once.
Yeah, and I know that way of thought. I'm not saying your way of thought is non-existent. I don't. My personal outlook is that things are more for real than just God, playing pawns with people. I don't know. I don't believe so much in it, but. We can argue on that. And you have greater people than you who says what you're saying, great people than me as well. So I'm not dismissing what they say, but you know, I follow another type of outlook, let's put it this way. But you know, there are different ways of looking at things.
And marrying.
No, this is a very good point. This is certainly true that, yeah. Okay, because I'll tell you the way I understand. I can always tell you the way I see it. I cannot tell you differently. So now, okay, so here he goes and he convinces everyone. Now comes the pay time. Now comes punishment. So they are all, you know, basically.
You wanted to give an answer why
I'll come to it. Okay. Now they all of the people are all standing against Moshe, and then Moshe says, "So please stay." It tells everyone else, "Stay away from the instigators. Don't be part of it. It's going to be punishment there." So they're all getting punished. And Hashem creates or brings in whatever might have been a creation of Bereshis, the fact that the earth opened up, and they all go down. Okay. And then fire comes and burns all the people who did the korban, who brought the Ktoret, right? The 150 people who were part of the test, that they brought the Ktoret, so they were all burned. Okay, they're all burned. That was after Hashem only took the Ktoret of Moshe, of Aaron, right? Okay. So then Moshe tells Elazar that he has to take all the shovels and use those shovels to cover the Mizbeach as a sign that the Mizbeach itself will be covered with the remnant of those who wanted to go against the will of Hashem. So, which is interesting, because you would think that those shovels should be destroyed. No, because they meant to do an avodah, so they had a kedusha to it, and they were used to cover the mizbeach. And then listen to that one. The people complained and they said, "Atem amitem et am Hashem." You killed the nation of God. So they basically, instead of realizing, "Oh my gosh, we did a terrible mistake," they tell Moshe, "No, it's your fault. No, it's not. Even though God did it, obviously. I mean, the earth opened up and the other people were burned. I mean, you couldn't see more of a miraculous type of sign of God. No, but it's really your fault." Just to be understood, also.
Moshe becomes the victimizer.
He became accused. Like he was victimized. That he's responsible for their death. Then listen to that one. And today's morning I got up early and I looked at the parsha. To me, it blew my mind. Actually, I never knew that. Maybe you've heard that from someone else, but for me it was a chidush. It says like this: when they all gathered against Moshe and Aaron. So then Moshe and Aaron went, they approached the Oel Moed, the Mishkan, and then Hashem appeared. Now listen to what Yonasan ben Uziel. This Ben Uziel is one of the Tanaim who translated the Torah, and it says it based on Racha Kodesh from Nevi'im, and what he says is like this: why did they all gathered against Moshe and Aaron? What did they do? Listen to that word, if you know how to read it a little bit. So they were gathered against Moshe and Aaron. Le-miktalhon. Have you ever heard the word le-miktalhon? Katal, it means to kill. They gathered in order to kill Moshe and Aaron. So, boy, not only was Korach successful in convincing the Kal Yisrael to go against Moshe and Aaron by making jokes and putting them down, he convinced them in such a way that the entire nation of Israel wanted to kill Moshe and Aaron. Can you imagine?
They killed Hur.
What?
They killed Hur.
Then they killed Hur, that's right. So we suddenly see, the Hur was the grandson of Miriam, and he was killed when he was trying to protest when they did the Chet Ha'egel. It's a different story. Now we also see by the Meraglim that when Yoshua and Caleb were going against the Meraglim, so they said we're going to kill them. They didn't say they actually went to kill them, but they said. So we certainly see that they had within them a certain violent a streak or something, right? There's something in the what?
Bloodlust.
Bloodlust, something. But here they actually came to kill Moshe and Aaron. So here my question to you is, why? I mean, come on. You see that Korach was wrong. I mean, certainly he wasn't successful, put it this way. You see that Korach's design didn't work. I mean, you don't have to be Einstein to figure that one out, right? They're all dead, and so somehow something went wrong with the plan. Now, generally speaking, you guys learned Malachim, right? So you remember when Adoniyahu wanted to become the king? What happened once David HaMelech appointed Shlomo to be the king of Adoniyahu? What happened? Suddenly Adoniyahu finds himself all alone. Where is everybody else? Hi, bye, have a good day, I'm busy, I forgot something at home. I mean, nobody wants to be with the losers, right? And here, they were still with the losers wanting to kill Moshe and Aaron. My gosh, why?
I think part of it has to do with, and there's a stream of this from the very beginning, it's not to accept to deny the validity of the miracles, but not to accept the validity of the social structure that the Torah seems to prescribe.
Why not? Why wouldn't they want to accept it?
I don't know what the replacement product is.
So I think a little bit what you're saying, let me tell you the way I understand it, maybe you mean that as well. I think that, see, we have a problem because we don't understand so much the desire the real desire to be close to Hashem in a very, like a sensuous way. We don't have this very, very, very strong feeling. We certainly don't understand the Yitzhar of Avodah Zarah, right? It's completely, we can't understand. And the truth is that are we supposed to stop already?
No.
Okay. Those two things are a bit connected. In other words, the Yetzer Hara to do Avodah Zarah is the other side of the very strong desire to connect to God. We see today we're a bit more. We don't have the spiritual. Such a strong desire just to be close to God as you can possibly can. And to forget what Avodah Zarah was a way to come close to God also, but through an easier mean. The Avodah Zarah was a mean to get close to what Hashem was all about, which is much easier, much more comfortable. It says that at some point, the Anshe Knesset HaGedolah decided we have to do something to eliminate Yitzhar of Avodah Zarah. We have to get rid of it because it's too dangerous. So they fasted, and Hashem listened to their prayers, and Yitzhar of Avodah Zarah was cancelled. Now the Gemara in Yuma says, how was it cancelled? How did they see that it worked? They saw an Egel Haza'av running out of Kodesh Kadoshim. And there was Yitzhar of Avodah Zarah, which basically was cancelled. You see the point? In other words, in Kodesh HaKadoshim you had this Yitzhar of Avodah Zarah somehow, which attracted, which was so powerful. And that the bad part, which is Yitzhar of Avodah Zarah, that was eliminated.
Is that
so,
a Midrash?
It's a Gemara. It's Yuma. It's not just a matter. I mean, but it's also important. So it's an open Gemara. Daf Ayin Beis, I think, in the Yuma. So it's fascinating. Most people don't take it seriously, but it means something very serious. It means that the desire for Avodah Zarah is very, very close to the desire to worship HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Yes.
Rambam knew it. So why was he so? We had yesterday, 2 days ago, a lesson only about this issue. That the desire of Yetzer Hara, of Avodah Zarah, Ad Hayom, is very strong. Which I...
Today, I don't have such Yetzer Hara, Avodah Zarah. I've got other Yetzer Hara, Avodah Zarah.
No. That's how you define Avodah Zarah today.
Well, okay.
Avodah Zarah can be anything.
All right, the modern Avodah Zarah.
Ideology. But this is not, you can have a strong ideology,
Yeah.
but you don't think this is God. Avodah Zarah, I think that whatever is God.
Okay, I mean, this is really a subject of its own to discuss. I was bringing that as a point to say that there was something very tempting, and maybe that's what you were saying, about having the ability to connect to Hashem without any restrictions. So you don't need the Kohen to do the Avodah, I can do the Avodah. We don't have to be restricted in going to holy places. I can go to any holy place whenever I want. I can go to Kodesh Kadoshim because I desire, because I feel like connecting to God. The idea of connecting to God without restrictions was extremely powerful to them. And Korach spoke to them because of that. He says, don't you want to be like Aaron, to be able to go to Kodesh HaKadoshim? And don't have to do it even once a year, whenever you feel like it. How about it? Isn't that nice?
That ideology is wrong because the earth opened up. Hashem himself said that.
You're right. The ideology is wrong, but the desire to do that is still very strong. So then they felt.
In the face of what they saw, what Hashem did.
You see, because once we explained that this is something that they had an interest in, that they wanted. See, when it comes to ideology, then you can say, okay, I see this ideology is wrong, I'll do another ideology. It's easier to switch. But a strong desire that you want so badly that you're not willing to switch, and then you instead will try to fight for it as long as you can. So here they wanted so badly to have, it was so tempting what Korach said, and then they came up with a credible, I mean, it makes little sense to you and I, but you have to say that. Then they decided, because what Korach suggested was so nice to them, then they decided it must be that Moshe Rabbeinu convinced God not to allow it. Because it's so good that it can't be God's will.
Manipulated.
Yeah. I mean, you know, I'll tell you a story. It's such a beautiful story. Klal Yisrael went to Golus with Tzidkiyahu HaMelech. You have a remnant of Yisrael remaining in Eretz Yisrael. They have a governor. Who is the governor? Gedalia. Right, Gedalia? Remember Gedalia?
Yes, Gedalia.
Right. Gedalia, unfortunately, is killed by this big Rasha called Ishmael, and it's terrible. Gedalia was nominated by the Melech Bavel, and now he is killed, and the Yidden who remained, they didn't know what to do. What should we do? Then many of them want to go to Mitzrayim. So they want to go to Mitzrayim, but they understand, it's a big move. We were spared, we're in Eretz Yisrael, the last few Jews in Eretz Yisrael, should we leave? So they call Yirmiyahu HaNavi. It says, Yirmiyahu HaNavi, should we go to Mitzrayim or not? You know the story? It's an incredible story. You won't believe me because it's so incredible. You look up in Yirmiyahu. So Yirmiyahu says, well, let me ask Hashem. Comes back, says, okay, ask Hashem. You won't like what I'm going to tell you. No, wonder what Hashem says. Fine. Hashem says, don't go to Mitzrayim, stay here. And you miss crazy things like Hashem regrets that the destruction of Beit HaMikdash. Now he wants to do good things there to Israel. Stay here. Don't go to Mitzrayim. I'm telling you, you go to Mitzrayim, you're all going to get destroyed. What do they say? Liar! No! Hashem couldn't have said that. And you're a liar because you're influenced by, what was the name of the other guy, Neria or something, forgot his name. He must have, I didn't look it up today. So he must have convinced you, but you're talking rubbish. People, if they have a very strong feeling about something, they're not willing to listen to the reality.
But they ask for his...
They ask Yirmiyahu to tell them.
Yeah, so they're asking for what they want to hear, basically.
So here they decided that Moshe Rabbeinu must be convincing God. Now, where do I take such a thing that they could say such a crazy thing? It's a Tosfos in Shabbos. Tosfos in Shabbos is something like that. It says that Moshe Rabbeinu did 3 things on his own. You know, remember this Gemara?
One day.
He added 1 day before Kabbalat HaTorah. And the other thing is that he decided to stay away from his wife. He wouldn't, basically, he had no more sexual relation with his wife. So the Gemara says, well, how did he, and Hashem agreed with him. So how do we know Hashem agreed with him? Because after Mamad Sinai, Hashem said he should all go back to their tents. Stay with me here. So it means don't go back to your tent. The tent is a euphemism for going back to the wife. So then Tosfos asked, but I don't understand. You know, there was a whole story of Miriam and Moshe and Aaron speaking Lashon Hara against Moshe Rabbeinu. What is the Lashon Hara? That why aren't you with Sipporah? Right? We're all holy, very similar to the thing of Korach. We also listen to God. We still live a normal, marital life with our wives, with our husbands. Why are you different? So Tosfos said, I don't understand. The pasuk says, imadi, you stay with me. So Tosfos answers, you convinced God. It's because that's what you wanted to hear. So God would have been happy to let you go back to Tzipor. He didn't want to go to her, so he convinced God.
So Moses is controlling Hashem.
Exactly. So I think that's the same thing over here. They accused Moshe Rabbeinu. It's not me. I'm just comparing it. They said that you convinced God. Yeah, that's what you want. You don't want us to be equal to you. It's all part of your design. You convince God. I mean, it's such a crooked mind if you think of it. But if you want something so badly, so you're going to come up with crooked answers and crooked things. That's the way we are. Human beings are like that.
Excuse me. Moshe convinced God not to get rid of Am Yisrael.
So maybe they have some truth to what they are saying.
Yeah.
Okay, all right, but you understand the difference because God wanted to be convinced about that.
Okay, it's both ways.
God, it was the right thing to do. No, but it doesn't mean that Moshe convinced God to do something which was wrong or something like that. Hashem wants the tefillah of Moshe to save Klal Yisrael. Hashem loves Klal Yisrael. No, it's not that Moshe has the ability to go and convince. See, the point of, but I want to finish with that's so important. And I think this point that you're bringing up here, Jacques, is like this. Moshe Rabbeinu had no agenda. He didn't care about himself at all. He only wanted to do the right thing. Korach, on the other hand, as you were saying, everything about it is an agenda. When I say Vayikach Korach, I started to share with that. What did he take? He was a taker. A taker means that you want to think things for yourself. You're not happy with what you have. More you can take, the happier you are. There are people who are givers. They don't care about themselves. They want to give to others. And then they feel that they're accomplishing something by sharing and by giving. And others, they don't care about sharing. They don't care about giving. They care about taking. They are takers.
He was he had a strong ego.
Very strong ego in a very negative way. He was a taker.
Why wasn't he not killed?
Well, he was.
No. Okay, we suppose he was.
Anyway, okay, well, fine. To be alive in the ground is not such a great medication.
But he says, but Rashi says he didn't die.
No, B'nei Korach lo mesu, Rashi
No, he
says.
said he went in alive.
Yeah, but
Why to say it? What did the person say?
no, I don't think it means he didn't die there. It means when he went in the crowd, he died.
Why to say?
I don't know. I don't know. I don't have an answer to that. I don't know why it's that important to know he went in alive. Maybe to feel the punishment. I don't know. I think it's an interesting point. But in any case, Korach was. So I want to just continue with the last question that I spoke about. Why is it a fitting punishment to be whether alive or dead in the ground?
We heard yesterday by Rabbi Brown an answer about your question. The answer we were given yesterday was Hevel was taken by the earth, and he was and he was innocent.
Right.
And that Korach was guilty, and they were taken in the earth. It was a tikkun, because the earth was set a rule.
Okay. Very, very nice. Okay, I'm going to tell you something maybe a little bit more rational, maybe, or whatever. This is a bit more, it's a bit more esoteric. So I was thinking is like this. Korach basically was not happy to be part of the nation and do service the way he was told. He had a service to be done. He could be a Levi. He had a very important function. He was not happy. He wanted something else. The Gemara in Sota says that Korach was someone who had something and wanted something which doesn't belong to him. And people who want something that's not what is meant to be yours, then you're going to lose even what you have. People who are not happy with what they have, they want something else. So not only they won't get what they want, they will lose what they have. That was Korach. Korach wanted something else, and basically he wanted no longer to be just part of Klal Yisrael and serve. He wanted to be separate, like Rashi said, in order to lead. So basically he wanted to be the big boss over Bnei Israel. He was no longer happy to be within the nation. Moshe Rabbeinu was the leader, but he was part of Israel. He was there to serve them. And that made him special. Korach decided, I want to be different in order to be the leader. If he wanted to separate himself, he wanted not to be part of Klal Yisrael, that was his end. His end was that he was completely ignored by the rest of the world. He was in the ground, and there will be no more trace from Korach any longer. You don't want to be, there is no such a thing. To have any connection to God, you have to be part of Klal Yisrael. You know, if a ger wants to become a ger, and he says, well, I believe in God, and I want to serve God the way you want me to do it. But I don't really like the Jews so much, Jewish people are kind of funny people. So I'll be a ger, like on my own terms. But they don't ask me to be part of Israel. Do we accept such a person? No. You want to serve God? To be part of Klal Yisrael? Then you're welcome. We're the only religion who welcomes anyone. Anybody can serve. When part of Klal Yisrael, be my guest. You should know it's no fun. You should know that we're discriminated. You should know that we get killed. But you want to, by all means. But not become part of Klal Yisrael. There is no such animal. No such animal.
Could
we are only. What?
Could he be B'nai Noah?
Yes, but it's not a ger. So they tell him, yeah, to be a Ben Noach, by all means. Ben Noach are very fine people. You don't have to be Jewish. But you cannot. There is no status of a goy wanting to be a ger without and having a halacha of a yid without being Klal Yisrael. He would not have a shtag mitzvos. He's not going to have any. It's going to be, and then we'll tell him, and then just be part of the nations and don't try to separate yourself. It's not a good idea, right? But certainly we cannot be Jewish without being part of Klal Yisrael. So that what happened to Korach. Korach basically was not interested any longer to be part of the nation. He wanted to be a part and leading them. No, thank you. That's not part of. And it was fighting for it and all the horrible thing that they did as a result of it. So therefore, his death was in the fact that he was completely separated. That's what you want. You got it. Gentlemen, I wish you all the very best.